This property that we are about to view right now is situated in Shimabala area, about 35 kilometers from Lusaka and about 8 kilometers from the Kafue-Lusaka main road. It is a school infrastructure and it is up for sale. The property sits on a 17 hectares of land which has 2 titles, both in one name. Aside that, it also has 14 two-bedroom staff houses which are self-contained. And aside that, there are 12 classes which can be used obviously for lessons if you turn it into a college or a school. But aside that, it has 5 dormitories which can house up to 250 people. But also you need to know that it has also 11 houses for auxiliary staff. Let's check out what else is on this property. Follow me. Na guard house, meaning it's a very safe and secure property because just at the entrance there's a guard room. So if you got this property, you have your security personnel here who actually monitor what is happening on this property. But also what you're going to love about this property is the terrain and the view, which is full of vegetation and also just some mountains. Follow me. Here you have a car park. So your visitors, your members of staff can actually park their vehicles from right here. From here, you move to where we're seeing this property. So here is the admission block or the administration block. You have the head teacher's office, which you can turn into your principal's office or whatever name you give it. The secretary office there. Then there's another office here. The other side is actually the ablution block, obviously for members of staff. The view you are seeing this side are actually classroom blocks. So the property has got about 4 laboratories. This one is one of them. It's called the physics lab. These are physics, but it's not a bad idea. This is just one of the labs. Remember, there are about 4. These structures that you're seeing, these ends, and also behind me are classroom blocks. Like I indicated, there are about 12 classes that you can actually use for your own preference. Since the property houses a school infrastructure, why not have a clinic on the property itself? Well, when you get this property, you actually get this structure too, which is a clinic. But you can choose. Of course, there are a lot of properties that we have here, so you can choose whether you maintain it as a clinic or you put something else and choose another property as a clinic. But the property itself has a space for a clinic, which is actually active right now. I wish I had all the monies in this world. I would have bought this property. But for now, let me accept my position that the only thing I can do is advertise it to people like you that have got the money. So on this property, there is also a tuck shop. And if you've been to school, you know what a tuck shop is. And this being a property that is, in between mountains with a very good terrain, you need to have a tuck shop where your students or your pupils can actually buy some items from. So this here is one of them. Let's check out what else is on this property. My goodness. I love this space. Honestly, I love it. I wish I could get it. But I know there's somebody out there that has got a business mind. Yo yamba college, or Barikudana college, but they don't have space. You can take advantage of this video and come through to this property and check it out. That there is one of the hostels, which can house either your students or your pupils. All right? But remember that at the beginning of the video, I said this property houses about 14 two-bedroom self-contained staff houses. Yes, if you intend to continue using this property as a school, then no worries. Your members of staff will have, no pressure when it comes to accommodation. Right, so if you intend to keep this as a school or as a college, be rest assured that you have no pressure with your members of staff in terms of accommodation, because like I said at the beginning of the video, this property houses about 14 two-bedroom self-contained staff houses. This is block A and it has 5 houses on it. That there is block B and it also has 5 houses. And what you're seeing there, painted in maroon or pink, depending on who taught you colors, is actually, block C, and it houses 4 two-bedroom self-contained staff houses. So in terms of staff housing, you don't have to worry. The property has, houses for members of staff. But I mean, for a property like this one, you have to ni school. Of course, it's school infrastructure that we're talking about. From time to time, members of staff and students of pupils need to play a bit. After all, they say too much of work and not play makes John a dull boy. So this property also has some area or space which can be used for sports activities. This one here is a pitch. Okay? Yeah, you can use it right here. Aside that, kuja kusogolo, there's a basketball court, and aside that, there's also a netball court there, and then there's also ijeno machaso. Volleyball. Yes, you can actually. So this is, the space that you can use for sports activities. What's a school infrastructure without a library? What you're seeing in here is actually some library space where students or pupils, if you like, can actually come and do their studies in here. Unfortunately, the books and the shelves are not for sale, but this infrastructure, the property itself, is for sale as part of everything else that is being sold together. So if you bought this property and you wish to put a school here, you can use this then as your library. Of course, if you're going to have a boarding school, whether it's a college or just a primary school, you need somewhere where food can be prepared, and you need somewhere where students or pupils can actually eat from. This here is the kitchen area, and obviously this here is the dining hall. Now let's just get to check how spacious the dining hall is, so that you just get to appreciate this property in here. So yeah, this is the dining hall where your students or your pupils will be eating your food from. That's if you'll be the lucky one to get this property. So this is a dormitory or hostels area. In total, the property has got about 5 hostels which can house up to 250 people, and you don't have to worry about water. There's enough water at this property, and just in case you have a problem with water, we actually have some reservoirs right here, which is quite a very, very good deal if you ask me. This one is very special. It is Emmanuel Hostel. It carries my name, and so I need to actually get in here and just see what it looks like. So please come through so that we just show you around into what Emmanuel Hostel looks like. Yeah. So equally, it's an open dormitory, as you can see, but obviously the pupils have their own beddings. But remember, the movable items in here are not for sale. What is being sold is the infrastructure. So yes, when you buy this property, even Emmanuel Hostel, which carries my name, becomes your property. And the beauty about it is, guess what? Water in here runs 24/7. Cool. Right, so what you're seeing behind me here is actually the chapel. So if you're going to have a boarding school, or if you're going to have a college here, there are people of different faith. Others want to worship their God in their space. Yes, the property itself houses a chapel, which sometimes obviously can be used as a class. So that's one of the benefits that you get when you get this property. Remember that the property sits on a 17 hectare of land. So in terms of space, in case of expansions, there is really enough space for expansion. This is one of the areas used as a garden for the students, obviously those that are doing agriculture, and the food that is cultivated in this particular field is what they actually use to feed the pupils. In terms of auxiliary staff, remember I mentioned that the property had about 11 auxiliary staff houses, and this is the compound for auxiliary staff members here. So honestly, it's a good deal if you ask me. If I had all the monies in this world, I would have gotten this property. But for now, what I love so much about this place, ladies and gentlemen, is just the view. Look at the terrain, look at those mountains, look at that beauty. Sometimes you're onto a student here, paper. You can come here and just start visualizing the goodness of God. You start imagining nanga ijamiala ija doti lipaja parupi inazipeza po bwanji masikwana ama using matrack. But look at God is great. So, anyways, Ahula Mavi, I've done my part. I've shown you the property. For those of you that have got a business mind ya school, whether in secondary school, whether in college, whether in training institute, I can tell you this is a good deal. Make sure you get in touch on the numbers that are on the screen for more details or inquiries, or even if you want to view the property. My name is Ken, to the DUMBO, Ken Dumbo.